Hello, there's Obi. This is Scott. Today we are at the spillway of Lock and Dam number 9. There's the dam, there's the spillway where it gets lower, and you can hopefully see the water out there. I'm going to show you a better view. But today I wanted to show you some of the backwaters of the Mississippi, and actually also more specifically the islands, which I'm on one of them, and then the other flora that's on the islands. So there's the spillway where it gets lower, and like I said, if you kind of look right there, that's where it starts to taper up, and there's the dam. So many of the trees that are on the Mississippi River's bottomland are maples. There's a maple, there's a maple. There's been chewed on a bit by some beaver. Very ambitious, if you look at that thing. It's huge. So these islands are filled with silver maple, a lot of them. But what's happened because of climate change in the last couple of years and excessive high water is that. So if you look, and you look toward the sun, this is July 23rd, I believe, 2020. So in July, it's not supposed to look like, November with no leaves on these trees. And I would guess, just total guesstimate, because I haven't seen any numbers from the Fish and Wildlife Service or the Coast Guard or anyone, I guess, or the Corps of Engineers, or any of the DNRs that, tell me approximately how many trees are dead on pool 10. That's where we're at right now, and right above that is pool 9, which is held back by the dam number 9, or Lock and Dam number 9. So this one is held by the one by Guttenberg, which is Lock and Dam number 10, therefore called pool 10. But I spend a lot of time in and around pool 9 and 10, and I am estimating about 50% of the trees are dead. Here's a little bit of information on the side of that. So if you look at all these dead trees, it's kind of depressing, kind of a bummer. And it could be a very negative thing potentially, because if you can see the erosion, even with trees here from the floodwaters, all these little pools where the water is right now are where, the ground was eroded away by floodwaters. So once these all fall over, there's not any root system to hold this soil in place. However, the one positive thing is this. So these are little bitty maples, and they're sprouting everywhere. However, they need a few years to get big enough to hang on. Otherwise, the next flood, the next 500-year flood, which we've had more of than at least 100-year floods, I know we've had several, and 500-year floods, I believe we've had 2 in the last decade, so the last 10 years. So when you look at these islands and the amount of erosion that's going on them now, and remember, this is right next to a dam, which means that it has to top that dam and the spillway, and then over the dam as well. A lot of this has been flooded, over the top of the dam, the earthen dam, in the last 2 years. So I guess, just some thoughts about climate change, the effects that it has even locally and is having. These islands were all plumb full of trees with green leaves, and there still are some, like you can see some there. There are some behind me that are hanging on, partly because of the dam, and they're on slightly higher ground. But the ones that have been flooded consistently and been sitting in water, they can't do it. Their roots die, and then they die. Basically, they're suffocated. So kind of a bummer, and it's caused by climate change. Rising temperatures, which cause heavier rainfalls, which cause more flood events, which means these islands may shift. They certainly will change. That's a constant. Change is a constant. But these are going to change dramatically, I would say, over the next 5 years. We'll see what happens. It's going to be beyond our control at this point because we have, through our choices, brought this on ourselves and, unfortunately, on all kinds of other animals and plants as well. So, like, for instance, these little maples, they're hanging on, but I'll give you a little example, and I'm going to sacrifice one of them. This one's been growing since the spring. That's all the root there is, but that root keeps growing. So if that little baby gets much water in this sand as easily as I popped it out, it's not going to make it. So I'm going to put it back, and I'm going to say goodbye. So I hope you are all staying safe and well. There's another look at what Obi's up to. Remember, try to stay socially distant, but not socially isolated. So there, I replanted that little baby. Okay. Take care. Until next time.